guys, so this is going to be my review of New Avengers Illuminati. Now, New Avengers Illuminati is the 5-issue miniseries that kind of acts like a prelude to Secret Invasion. Now, New Avengers Illuminati, if you don't know what it's about, the Illuminati in the Marvel Universe it was kind of like a secret society that Brian Michael Bendis wrote as like the secret order to protect the Marvel Universe and, meet after huge threats. The team consists of Iron Man, Professor Xavier, Namor, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, and Mr. Fantastic. That in alone, these guys are some major powerhouses in the Marvel Universes, and intellectually they're very powerful as well. So, this is a really cool thing, because what Bendis does, pretty much, is that these heroes pretty much have been, oversight and meet after certain events. Like, their first meeting was during the Kree-Skrull War, after the aftermath of the Kree-Skrull War, where the 6 of them go to the ruins of the Skrull homeworld and pretty much give them a warning, don't come back here. And, however, there's also this epic scene of when they're introducing themselves and the Skrull are about to attack them, and Doctor Strange asks Black Bolt, "Do you have anything to say?" Next thing you see is this 2-page spread of the Skrull ship exploding. Yeah, Black Bolt, fucking badass. So, from then on, the story continues with them trying to find a way off of the Skrull homeworld, but they get captured and they get experimented on until Tony manages to find an escape. And from then on, this is also pretty much the starting point for how the Skrulls got the DNA they needed and how they needed to work on their first acts of the Secret Invasion. How they put that into motion. All of these issues don't have some continuity. They act as they have a lot of standalone stuff to them. The next issue involves the Reed Richards gathering the Illuminati to help him find and locate the Infinity Gems to, he believes that there has to be a way he can, make it go. He wants to find he wants to put the Infinity Gauntlet back together and have it fully charged, so he can literally will it away out of existence so no one can use it again. It kind of backfires when Reed begins to go mad with power, which is sad. There's also some cool stuff they do with all the gems. Is that the time gem exists in and out of time in the same place. The soul gem is pretty much the embodiment of all subconscious beings in the world. Pretty much, Xavier and Doctor Strange have to literally put the whole world to sleep outside of those 6 to find their way into the soul gem with Namor, while Black Bolt and Iron Man team up with Reed to find another. I think it's the reality gem, which is outside of reality itself. So I think, and how they do some really cool science with all the superheroes, and it's really cool to see all these different pretty much leaders' ideals. I mean, all of them have a lot of power in the Marvel Universe, not just superpowers, but influentially as well as intellectually. I mean, we've got Tony Stark, a founding member of the Avengers and a major entrepreneur. We've got Black Bolt, King of the Inhumans, Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arts, Reed Richards, one of the smartest men in the Marvel Universe, Namor, the Lord of Atlantis, and Xavier is the leader of the X-Men, is pretty much the friggin' founder of the X-Men. So all of them, it's also just cool to see them talk and talk about their ideals. And you'd think these guys would get along. They normally don't. And it kind of shows here in the second issue when Reed is nearly driven mad by, he wants to have all that power of the Infinity Gauntlet, and it takes the frickin' Watcher to, try to snap him out of it. And even then, we find out that it wasn't Reed's choice to... I'm not going to spoil of how they deal with the Infinity Gauntlet, but it wasn't Reed's choice to make. Xavier made him do that. So, yeah. The next issue delves into the events of after the Secret Wars, and this has kind of led to a little controversy here and there, But Xavier tells the members of the Illuminati outside of Iron Man, who at the time was missing in action. I think this was during Armor Wars that the Secret Wars were happening, or after the Secret Wars were happening. So I think this was during the Armor War stuff. So Xavier could only get the other 4 members, and he tells them, I could have stopped the Secret Wars if I hadn't found out what I found out about the Beyonder. I could have easily just told everyone to go to sleep, and Reed and I could have figured a way to go back home. It could have been as simple as that. But he was so afraid. He didn't know what the Beyonder really was, and he was afraid the Beyonder might retaliate. It turns out that Beyonder was an Inhuman. Yeah, the Beyonder was really an Inhuman, and not only that, he was a mutant Inhuman. Now, how that works pretty much is that the Inhumans, the Beyonder was already a mutant. He had a mutant gene inside of him, and when the Terrigen Mist, the stuff that makes the Inhumans who they are and gives them their powers, it further accelerated his mutant gene into almost a godlike level, and that's how the Beyonder is. He's not some cosmic entity or whatever. And Xavier tells that, and Black Bolt didn't even realize it. He didn't even remember it. But from then on, the group encounters the Beyonder again, and the 5 of them, pretty much try to convince the Beyonder just to leave. Go away. You're causing an imbalance to the universe. So I thought that was pretty cool of how they deal with that, because it's Black Bolt who steps up. So, moving on is to the next issue. Number 4 delves into the events of what happened with Marvel Boy, Novar, before he became Captain Marvel. There was a Marvel Knights miniseries that Grant Morrison wrote involving Novar, where he tried to lead a Kree invasion on Earth, and the Illuminati are gathered to pretty much to deal with what do we do with him now? The little assholes. This little asshole is locked up. What should we do with him? He's got a lot of power, so what do we do? Because they can't just tell him, to leave, or, they can't execute him, or else they'll be in trouble with the Kree. So, what they do, and actually it's kind of funny, because here's really something interesting. Tony asks Xavier, could you force him to leave mentally? And he's like, no, I can't do that. He's like, why not? You're the most powerful telepath on the planet. And Xavier says, I can't just make everybody do what I want. If that were true, mutants would no longer be hunted, and everyone would be fine. And then he explained, and Xavier explains why he's never done that. And a lot of people, this really puts to rest why whoever said, why can't Xavier just make everybody tell everyone, don't hurt mutants anymore, I command it. He tells everyone that, he tells Tony that he was thinking like a programmer. Humans don't think like computers. They have their own will. And eventually, no matter, say if I told somebody to put on, he puts an example like, say I told somebody to put on a dress and pretend to be a woman. Eventually, that's gonna, no matter how long it takes, the eventual instincts of that human, whoever originally was, is going to come back, and he's going to be pissed off and go into a psychotic rage or something like that, or it could even break his mind. So that's why he could do it, but he doesn't want to, and also because of the moral line as well. And also they have this fun conversation about the 2 pages of them talking about their wives, which is kind of interesting because on the cover for issue 4 is all the women they've been with. And it's just this fun conversation because Clea at the time leaves Doctor Strange, and they're all having this conversation about their women, and it's actually Namor who tells Reed to, respect Sue more. He's so wrapped up in his work. Namor goes up to him and says, look, your wife's gonna leave you. She thinks you're holding her captive. She loves you, but do you love her? So it's fun to see Namor, the man who loves Sue beyond compare, in an obsessive tone. He's telling Reed, love your woman, man. And it's also fun to see Black Bolt when he's talking. Black Bolt tells Xavier mentally, he's laughing at Tony tells Xavier tells Tony he's laughing at you. He can't get a word in edgewise with Medusa. So it's fun. And with them, with regards to Namor, they talk to him like it feels like almost like a Christmas story in some ways. And all this is going on in between while the other members are talking to Novar. Namor is beating the shit out of him, and it's actually funny because he says, "Let's just beat the fuck out of him and send him home." And it's funny too because when they're trying to when they're trying to formulate a plan of how to talk to Novar. Namor says, Tony asks, how do we talk to him? And Namor replies with, the only language he knows. And he breaks into the prison and beats the shit out of him. And in between all the beatings, all the members talk to him about Captain Marvel. And they convince him to become the next Captain Marvel. So, it's pretty cool. And then the final issue is a huge prelude to Secret Invasion, where we find out Black Bolt was a Skrull the whole time. And, yeah, I know this is old news, but it's actually a pretty cool scene of all of them, because everything has happened. Civil War, World War Hulk, all this crazy shit has happened, and they're pretty much not even trusting of each other at the time. So, at this time, they didn't even want to even talk to one another until, this whole Secret Invasion began. And Tony is on the point of is on, the whole point of... He's nearly driven himself mad, pretty much. So, all things considered, what do I think of this comic? It is amazing. The artwork by Jim Chung is amazing. What more can I say about that? It's a great little mini-series of delving into the secret point, these little, cool little points in huge events of the Marvel Universe. I really wish there would have been Bendis had made this, maybe given it one more issue, because I feel like it's a bit short. I feel like they could have added one more event to, the whole, maybe Atlantis invades. No, maybe not so much, that one was not so good. But maybe one more event. I think they could have added in one more event, I don't know exactly what to call, I don't know exactly a specific event to say, but still, this is a pretty amazing comic book all around, and like I said, the artwork is beautiful. All these characters' ideals are treated with nothing but respect, because these guys, you'd think these guys would get along, hey, Black Bolt, we're buddies now, right? No. Namor is the most brash of the group, and he just savors the idea of beating the shit out of someone and leaving. The rest of the team is very intellectual, but they all have their different ideals, which it's always cool to see these guys come together and try to figure out new ways to put their heads together to figure out how to deal with these new situations that even make them feel small. So that was always cool because they think themselves so high and mighty, and throughout the all 5 stories, it's pretty much telling them you're not as strong as you like to think. That is the whole message right there, that no matter how powerful these guys are, even together, there are threats out there that even they can't, secretly handle. So, having said that, this is an amazing comic book. I really suggest I really suggest going out and looking for this. If you're on a Brian Michael Bendis kick from his Uncanny Avengers, his Uncanny X-Men, and what he's been doing with X-Men and a few other Marvel comics, and you want to look back at other great stuff he's written before he lost steam with his Avengers stuff, I'd say definitely check this out. This is a great read.